everyone, welcome to the community classroom. This is Dr. Tracey McCarthy, psychologist, attorney, and educator, and we are going to address the issue of YouTube and internet scams and schemes. This is a response video primarily to an initial video by the Federation of Aboriginal Nations of America, and then Attorney Shabazz, and then most recently Lenon addressing these issues. And so we're going to quickly touch on the issue of the United States Code. We're going to look at federal law versus state law versus international law very quickly. We're going to address the two main issues of wire fraud and mail fraud, and we're then going to address the issue of conspiracy. And finally, we're going to wrap it up with an address regarding this issue of defamation against court officers. Okay, so let's quickly address what we're talking about here, and this is our pro bono legal education series here, and this is really a follow-up to the self-destruction video, so you might want to look at that in preparation for this, or you might want to look at this and then go back and check that out. Anyway, so the issues that we're talking about fall under the jurisdiction or the power and control of the United States government, the federal government, and also what is known as the U.S. Code, and that is the statutes, the federal statutes. And specifically, the issues that we're talking about fall under Title 18, and Title 18 addresses issues like crime and criminal procedure and prisons and things like that. Really important for those who may be involved in this dynamic is that the maximum sentence for these issues are 30 years in prison and $1 million in fines, and this is for each count. And so each instance of doing this can result in a 30-year prison sentence and a $1 million fine. Also, state and international laws might apply. State law is like right under federal law, and so sometimes when people engage in certain activities, it violates not only federal law but state law. And since we're talking about the internet and mail, and we're talking about online stuff, there is also the high possibility that international laws may be violated. And so what that means is a person can be prosecuted multiple times for the exact same dynamic. Okay, it appears that a number of people are complaining about being victimized online or in relation to the internet or their interactions on the internet. They've been violated. They're complaining about being victimized. They are being swindled out of their money. They're being extorted. They are being brought under some sort of scam or scheme or some sort of, there are all sorts of things being sold, that promises being made, all sorts of projects that people are talking about. They're going to be doing buildings that are going to be purchased and things like that. And so there's a lot of stuff that's going on, and a lot of people are now starting to speak up about being victimized by this stuff. And so we're just going to quickly go over what these things look like so that people will know if they are thinking about getting involved in this sort of thing, what it looks like in terms of prevention for someone who may be thinking about engaging in this behavior, and also for those of you who may fall victim to these dynamics. And so basically in 1341 in Title 18, it basically says in terms of, and the title is Frauds and Swindles. And so it basically addresses transferring money or trying to defraud someone out of money or property using some sort of false pretense or some sort of fraud or some sort of fraudulent representation, some sort of promise that is not fulfilled, and there's no intention of fulfilling it, some sort of counterfeit that might be going on, things where people claim they're going to be giving away things, or there's going to be some sort of investment, and they use the mail to do this. that would relate to mail fraud. Okay, and so there's another way that fraud takes place, and that is, so if you basically mailing somebody something, so you're sending something through the mail, you're sending a payment through the mail, they're sending a solicitation through the mail. And so then you also have, in the age of the internet, wire fraud, radio, television fraud, people making broadcasts, people advertising stuff on YouTube, on Facebook, or whatever, means. Somebody might have a website, whatever means someone's doing this through, and doing it, interstate commerce types of things where they're reaching out to another state. And as soon as you put something on the internet, you have already reached out to another state. And so using the internet, YouTube, in order to facilitate this fraudulent activity, so the transfer of money, having people invest in things that are fraudulent, that that are not going to come to fruition. There's no plan for them to come to fruition. It's just a scam, a scheme that people are running in order to get revenue. And of course, people are very quick to blame the victims in these situations. But part of the fraud is that the victim is defrauded. The victim is not to blame in these situations. The victim doesn't know exactly what is going on. And sometimes the victim is just simply deluded. They may even see some signs and symptoms that things are not right, but they may just have this sort of pie in the sky belief that everything is going to work out, and that it's not going to happen to them, and that this is probably a good thing, because the person who's doing this swindling, this fraudulent thing, they're very manipulative and they're very skilled at deceiving people. And so it's not the victim's fault that someone has deceived them. And there is that practice of people, sort of blaming the victim, like, why did they do it? There's a song that used to be out called "Everybody Plays the Fool." And so that's what's going on in these situations. And so remember that the law is written in anticipation of violation. So the law is written in anticipation of somebody doing something they have no business doing. Okay, now one person who may be playing the fool in some situations is the co-conspirator. And people need to understand that conspiracy in and of itself is a crime. And conspiracy is just basically two or more people getting together to do something they have no business doing. A more formal understanding of conspiracy is an agreement between two or more people to commit an illegal act, and then generally doing something in furtherance of that agreement. So actually sending out the mailing, or actually creating the program that they're going to use to defraud people, creating the advertisement, things like that. And so one of the things that people need to understand is that conspiracy is a crime in and of itself, and it's completed as soon as you do that. So as soon as you start to conspire and you start doing things in furtherance. And so the co-conspirators can be charged along with the person who actually did the defrauding. So the person who actually completed the swindle, the person who actually finalized the scam and the scheme. And so usually co-conspirators are people like family members and friends. And so it could be a spouse, a husband or wife. It could be an employee, a co-worker, things like that. And so you sometimes hear about all of these squads and crews and all of this stuff online. And so all of those people could be culpable. And also co-conspirators don't have to know each other. And so you could have the main actor, and the main actor might have someone in one place doing one part of the scheme, and another person in another place doing another part of the scheme, helping out. And the people, they don't all have to know each other to all be culpable in terms of the completed act. And so remember, if you know that someone is trying to con someone else, they are a con artist. They're doing con jobs on other people. You may be pulled into that con. And so they may use you to have things deposited into your account, or have you running things or mailing things. And you might just do something that gets you caught up in this process. It has also been noted that one attorney online has been referred to as conspiring to bring down someone who has been allegedly involved in some fraudulent activity. People need to be careful. This was already mentioned in the self-destruction video. Attorneys are considered officers of the court. And so to present something in writing, such as an allegation that they're involved in some sort of conspiracy, is perhaps ill-advised. Perhaps some people might want to consult attorneys prior to creating some of these subject lines that they are creating. Unless you have some proof that an attorney is actually conspiring, you might want to think twice about doing that. And then you can see on the screen the list of individuals who would be considered officers of the court, just in case you are wondering what an officer of the court actually is. Now, whether you are a perpetrator, whether you are a victim, whether you are a person who is at risk for being a victim or at risk for engaging in this type of perpetrating behavior, hopefully you have gotten some sort of insight from the information in the video. Remember, knowledge is power. Take care and see you soon.